Hi, today I want to talk to you a little bit about the difference between curves and levels. Now, first of all, you can do these kind of adjustments just straight from the menu up here, but I really don't recommend you do that for most all of your editing. It's much better to use adjustment layers because it allows you to go back and edit these in a non-destructive way. So here I've got a picture of a recent lightning strike outside of my home, and it's kind of flat, has the basics here. Unfortunately we have a little bit of the neighbor's roof there. He doesn't seem to want to tear down his house just so I can take pictures, but that's kind of neither here nor there. Now first of all, we're going to start with levels, and the reason that you would use levels is because you just want to add contrast by adjusting primarily the white or black points. And so here, we already have some clipped highlights just because you expect lightning to be white. So we can actually pull this over a little bit more because whether it's white or maybe it electrifies the air a little bit around it. I think that's okay. The next thing we want to do is we really want to make this sky look moody, and so we're going to pull these black points over. And so what we're seeing here almost immediately is that the mountains here are being rendered as a silhouette, and that's okay. Pretty much everything about this image is the sky, and the only reason to include the mountains at all is because you can actually see where the lightning hits the mountain, and you get this little bit of a flare up. So definitely want to preserve that. And so I think that we're pretty good shape here. You can see we're definitely clipping some of and not even some significant amounts of dark shadow detail. If you hold down the Alt key while you move these things, you can see a mask, and you can see exactly where you're clipping. So anything that you're seeing here that's black is completely clipped in all three channels, and where you start to see the reds and the yellows and whatnot, that's where you're getting clipping just in those colors. So hopefully that makes a little sense to you. So now, while I'm perfectly happy to have the mountains clipped, I'm not so sure I want to have that top corner clipped. So I'm gonna pull back just a little bit. And what you see happening is that you can't really have, it's an all or nothing kind of thing for this kind of edit. So I'm gonna pull back a little bit here and kind of go back to where we started. The other thing that you have, of course, is the midpoint slider. So of course I didn't go all the way back. Midpoint slider is going to change the tones in the middle, and that actually does a fairly good job here. And you can see if you pull the midtones towards the shadows, it lightens it up. If you pull it towards the highlights, then it darkens it up, and that gives for a pretty moody picture, just kind of all by itself. I'm not going to talk here about these output levels because they work more or less the same way in levels versus curves, and so it's not really part of this discussion. So I'm going to go ahead and tuck this away, turn off that levels layer, and do a curves layer. Now the reason that you use curves is because it is very much more powerful. Now whereas with the levels you have your shadows, you have your highlights, and you have your midtones that you can affect. Here you can essentially make a adjustment at every single one of those points between 0 and 255. So that gives you a lot of control to make some local adjustments. Now we're going to do the same thing here. We're going to pull over the black point a little bit, and we're going to pull over the white point a little bit. So you can use these sliders here as I'm showing you, or you can go ahead and you can pull on the little dots in the graph, tonal curve, either way. When you're using the curve, what you want to think of is, of course, if you pull down, that's going to darken things. But because we're already at the top corner here for the highlights, then you have to pull to the left, because that's really the only direction you have to go to make things brighter. And similarly here with the dark points, if you pull it down, you can only go so far. So if you want to make something darker, you need to pull it to the right, whereas if you want to make it brighter, then you pull it up. So I'm going to stick with that. I'm going to pull this guy here over maybe somewhere around there. And in order to affect the midtones, what you would do then is find some place kind of right in the middle of the curve and either pull down to darken it or pull it up to lighten it. Now, where curves really comes out ahead is that not only can we make these nice little defined peaks or little valleys here, and I'm actually gonna pull this down, but you can actually tease out different areas of detail on different parts of the image. So of course we have the histogram behind it, so that makes it nice and easy to see, visually where you're going to want to pull this. And what I decided here is, okay, maybe I want to selectively brighten up just some of these shadow areas. So then where, with the levels I'd be kind of stuck there. Now here what I can do is I can start to tease out little areas in the curve. Now, granted, when you start to make local adjustments here like that, you have to be kind of careful because you can easily make a kind of a wonky looking image. And if you want just to have a simple little area like that pop up, see what happens. Let me take this point back off, just click and drag. When I pull this up, I'm affecting the black point and I'm affecting the midpoint. And that's not necessarily what I want. So then what you have to do is you have to add some anchor points. So let's put a point there. And usually if you do maybe 2 or 3 anchor points, that's enough to really kind of make that tonal curve straighten out. And so let's turn this on and off, and you can kind of get an idea where we're going with it. Similarly here, maybe we want to bring up these highlights a little bit without actually affecting the white here from the actual lightning. So we'll pull this up till we get a nice sort of moody look, and then we'll lock that tone curve down so that it doesn't move so much. So now that we've got those extra points, you can see you can make some pretty drastic edits, and obviously that's not what you'd want to do, but you can do. And depending on what your image is, that can work out to a really nice effect. Let me know if you have any questions with that. That's definitely the benefit of curves over levels. You just have a lot more control over how you're affecting very specific ranges in your tonal range. And in addition to just adding little points here by clicking and dragging, you can also go ahead and use a pencil and say, okay, I want to draw my tone curve looking like this. Now, would you want to? No, of course not. But that's another way that you can do it. If you did it in a way that kind of mimicked what we did, then maybe you can have a pretty decent effect. Now, obviously, this isn't a tool. You can tell just by the way I'm doing it. This isn't the way that I usually work on this tool, and so I can't say I have much skill in using this pencil tool. However, using just using the regular pull points, this is the way that I would do most of my editing. Now, while most images wouldn't necessarily need to have such a detailed sort of curve, points raising up and down, what most of them will benefit from is a little bit of contrast by an S-curve. So here we set our black and white points, and now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull down a little bit there, pull up a little bit here, and that's a pretty normal sort of way to do these kind of edits. So you get it up, and then you tweak them a little bit here and there until you find the look that you're going for. And I think I actually want to bring these down just a little bit more. Again, let me know if you have any questions. I really, really, really encourage you to work with curves. Of course, everything I've been doing here on both the curves layer and on the levels layer, I've been doing on the master channel. You can also use these tools for color correction. So here, if I say I want to get rid of all of this red, orange, then I might pull down on just the red channel. Maybe now I want to get rid of some of these blues. I go to the blue channel. And you can see how this could be used to a really nice effect in order to remove or add color contrast as necessary. Again, let me know if you have any questions, and we'll go from there if you do.